the 12 best quarterbacks according to the NFL's top 100. No Justin Herbert in the top 12 QBs according to the players who voted on the top 100. And @TheDirt Johnson says that is a mistake. He said he would take Herbert over 5 players on the list. Those 5 players are Tua, Dak, Purdy, Stroud, and Jalen Hurts. Do we agree @Dirt and Sprague?
This is going to be a political party vote here. If you wear green and yellow, you're going to vote yes. If you don't wear green and yellow, you're going to vote no. Because I get why people get tired of the Herbert stuff. It's a local guy that turned into an NFL quarterback. And
there's a lot of pressure on him to start. You got to start ramping up these dubs, man.
There's a ton of pressure. I just chuckle at like what is important in terms of these votes. I don't. Is it winning playoff games? Is that what matters? And that's why he's not in there. Okay, then why is Tua in there? How many playoff wins does Tua have?
0.
Okay, 0. So this notion that he's a better quarterback because he had more passing yards than him last year. How many 5,000-yard passing seasons has Tua had in his career?
I don't know.
The answer to that is 0.
Okay.
What
high
about
4,000 last year?
He was high 4,000. Do you want to go career passing yards? It's 17,000 to 12,000. You want to go career touchdowns in 4 years, by the way, same career.
Yep.
It's 114 to 81. Interceptions are about the same, and Tua's missed far more time with concussion issues in his career than Herbert has. Herbert missing games last year was the first time, I believe, in his entire career that he has ever missed a game. He's played through every other injury he's ever had, so it's not like injuries are a big concern. He's 5,000 yards greater through 4 seasons. That's almost a full season, a 5,000-yard season better than Tua. Like, what am I missing here? Tua last year had 29 touchdowns and 14 picks.
I mean, Tua was the passing yards leader in the NFL last year. A lot of this, again, as we cited, was reactionary stuff.
That's great.
Lamar was the MVP. I don't think he's better than Mahomes, but the players watched him. He was absolutely awesome last year.
This is why they shouldn't be
allowed. 13-4.
This is why they shouldn't be allowed to vote for All-Star games.
Well,
take this power away from them. Don't let them pick the reserves. I'd have 0 faith in them.
Are you going anti-new media?
I'm going anti-new media. Old media.
Only, huh?
I know more. I didn't play.
The white guy that's never played in the NFL should have the say, not the player.
I just find it funny how we have, like, some labels stick to guys and other labels don't. And C.J. Stroud winning a playoff game was massive. He also played Joe Flacco in a playoff game at home.
Yeah,
they went to Baltimore and they got obliterated.
But they won their division.
They did at 9-8.
Yeah,
they did at 9-8.
He was a rookie quarterback.
I'm
Did you have him winning the division?
I'm not knocking C.J. Stroud.
Did you have him winning a playoff game last year?
Not in a million. I actually gambled heavily on the Browns in the wild card round because I'm an idiot.
Look, if you end up being right on Herbert Stroud, I'll give you all your flowers for that. I think it's a bit of a hot take, but I like that you did it. Dak, I understand. Tua, totally get it. Purdy is still a tough one for me. Like, I'm acknowledging that he's good. I also think, much kind of like Tua in a system, he's benefiting greatly from what's around him. But we'll see how this goes as he continues to age and get experience.
If Herbert was the quarterback of the Niners the last 3 years, do they have a Super Bowl?
I don't know.
I would vote yes on that.
They do. They beat the Kansas City Chiefs.
I think that they would, yeah. And I love Brock Purdy. I think Brock Purdy is an awesome story, and he's only getting better in the league. He's been in the NFL for 2 years.
Well, they don't win it last year because Herbert gets hurt. You can't play that game.
Yeah, the Niners' offensive line, he's not getting hurt. Why don't you stick that in your pipe and smoke it, all right, buddy?
Actually,
yeah, Herbert won't have weapons this year.
Yeah, how many of his starting wide receivers were playing in the second half of the year last year? Was Brandon Ayuk in the lineup? Was Deebo Samuel in the lineup? Was George Kittle healthy? Was Christian McCaffrey healthy?
Side note, kayaking is a badass Olympic sport that I've never seen until right now.
I don't know that was even in the Olympics.
Dude, they drop like 7 feet off of the starting line into the water. That's incredible.
You got to go find some river somewhere, kayak down.
I think, unfortunately, it's not fence sitting because I think Herbert deserves to be on this list. I would also take some of these quarterbacks off the list to put Herbert on the list.
Yeah.
I also think there's a bit of you're wearing green and yellow right now. You're loud, you're proud.
I absolutely am.
But he's got a lot to prove, but I do think his numbers and his play are more deserving than being like left off the top.
Sure.
Bro. That's ridiculous.
Totally fair. He definitely has a lot to prove. Does Tua have a lot to prove? Or are we just settled? Does he not need to win a playoff game? Or we just settled on that?
Tua's been paid, and when these guys get paid, what I was going to say is when these guys get paid, it continues to add to the lot to prove thing. Okay. So yes, I think.
So if he doesn't win a playoff game, we're going to have this same conversation about him
get noisy.
And the pressure that mounts on him for not winning a playoff game. What if C.J. Stroud misses the playoffs? Are we going to do that to him next offseason?
Oh yeah,
pressure. Okay,
don't we do this to all the guys?
I think we do, but I also
what guys don't get this.
I think there's a handful of quarterbacks in the NFL that just kind of skate from time to time, and I I feel like we do this in the NBA, where some guys get held to a certain standard and others don't.
You've derailed my duck segment for this.
Oh, well, don't worry. We'll get to the next Brock Bowers. You calm down over there, buddy. I'm fired up about this one first. But I think we do this in the NBA, where some guys are held to a certain standard and other guys are not. And I think this is true of, like, nationally speaking, I think most guys are, but I think locally, Herbert is such a hot topic issue, because if you're not a Duck fan, you're probably like, stop talking about him. If you are a Duck fan, you defend him till the death, because he's a local guy that's finally a good NFL quarterback, and we've been waiting our entire lives to see a good NFL quarterback from Oregon.
No doubt.
And so you prop him up or you knock him down, and we hold him to a certain standard locally, more so than we do any other quarterback whenever his name is brought up. Because it gets texted in constantly. Herbert's never won a playoff game. It has never once been texted into this show that Tua's never won a playoff game.
Well, but I don't think. Well, he's only played one, by the way. He's not 0-2.
Shouldn't that
he
be a
missed
part
the
of it?
first one. Skylar
He got
Thompson
hurt.
played.
He was hurt, because injuries are a part of this, are they not?
Well, but I
He's
think
one
that's
hit away from never being in the NFL again.
100%. He contemplated retirement
He
after
did.
that year where he seizured
16
on the
months
field.
ago.
But I think when you get paid and then you look as bad as they looked in the playoffs in Kansas City, like, go look at the road to the Super Bowl for a Miami Dolphin team if they're not hosting Kansas City, a Cincinnati, a Buffalo. Like, you start naming off the cities, cold weather, and like, we saw him play.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just him. Again, wins are not a quarterback stat, but God, was that offense atrocious in Kansas City. And look, we shouldn't have been playing football in that weather. Quite literally, humans lost fingers in that weather.
Toughen up.
But
what happened to America?
They can't function in cold weather, seems to kind of be the deal with Miami. So there's definitely, I think this year, going to be a lot of pressure on Tua now that he got that contract.
Yeah.
They just reworked and extended Tyreek Hill. They just signed Jalen Waddle. He's got weapons for at least 2 more years. There's no excuse there. The run game seems to always be pretty consistent. If the defense takes a step, there's definitely pressure on Tua. Now, will they win anything? I mean, nobody's winning anything but Mahomes right now.
He's the only one. And whose division is he in?
Who?
Yeah. Whose division is Mahomes in?
Oh, he's in Herbert's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
But he also has the Raiders and the Broncos, who the Broncos haven't done anything since they won the Super Bowl.
That is very true.
And the Raiders I don't know what the Raiders are doing.
One of the worst in the NFL.
Gardner Minshew, yeah.
Well, they have Wilkins.
Is he in Vegas now?
Yeah.
Minshew Magic is?
Minshew and Aiden
that.
O'Connell. I don't know who the hell's going to start, but there you go.
They've got Crosby and Wilkins on the D-line. Like, it's a formidable defense.
Yeah,
but
he was damn near in the playoffs last year, Minshew Magic was.
Stop. The Minshew Magic thing, like, his numbers were
Well,
crap.
this is my other
He was
point.
terrible.
This is my other point. And I think all of these things can apply. And you can label this green and yellow glasses all you want.
Sure.
Playoff wins matter greatly for NFL quarterbacks.
They add to a legacy for sure.
Whether
yes.
it is fair or not, that is what it takes, right? C.J. Stroud is put into conversations that he is put into right now because he won a playoff game last year, and his rookie numbers were very good. C.J. Stroud was awesome last year, and nobody saw that coming. They made the playoffs because they were in one of the worst divisions in football. If you put them in the AFC West, they're not a playoff team last year at 9-8. I know you could do. I know. But I'm just saying these things apply. Yeah. So you then win the division, you get a home playoff game, and you play Joe Flacco, and that props up his status as an NFL quarterback.
But we didn't. Yeah, but we thought they were the worst team in that division going into the year.
I know, and that's why it was incredible.
And Jacksonville choked away a lead.
That's why it's incredible what he accomplished. And I'm not truly trying to say this as a way to knock him down. I'm just saying that there are different circumstances that quarterbacks have to go through. And if Herbert was able to win a division at 9-8 and host a playoff game, he might have a playoff win right now, and maybe the conversation is different about him. He happens to be in a division with the best team in the NFL and the best quarterback in the NFL. And it's going to be a really tough uphill putt to win the AFC West and host a playoff game.
It's not even the division, though, I think, with him, Dirt. He quite literally had a 20-plus lead in the playoffs.
They blew it.
They lost.
They blew it.
Their offense completely disappeared, and their defense gave away a huge lead.
They blew a 27-point lead in a playoff game.
And I hate to tell you this, but like with the injury stuff last year, and I know it happened kind of late in the year, paired with that, that's kind of how I think players are just viewing this stuff in a vacuum.
It's a good thing he's not in a walking boot right now, and there's nothing to be concerned about.
Oh, yeah, the plantar fascia.
And his wide receiver room is loaded. Lad McConkey.
It's plantar fascia.
Yeah. Get it right,
Drop
Schultzy.
your itis.
You idiot.
Drop your itis. Get with the program.
Gotta get rid of
I didn't know that was
itis.
such a hot button thing on Friday. We talked about that. That pissed a lot of people off. Not knowing fascia or fasciitis. Yeah. Russ came in here yelling at me. How do you not know that?
I go, Rust.
I
go, Rust, are you a doctor? He goes, well, no, but, and I go, when did you learn this? Well, I had to learn it last, 3 weeks ago. And I went, So you're pissed off about something you learned 3 weeks ago.
Something that you just learned that you are now mad at the rest of the world about for not knowing, and you're acting like you've known it for your entire life.
Sound like a Joe Rogan vaccine expert. I listened to the RFK pod, man.
I saw one podcast.
Like, oh, okay, thank you.
I got the answers to the test now.
Can I try to make this point really quickly?
What do you got, Schultze? Jump on in.
Justin Herbert, not a great team that he's got looking forward on the Chargers, at least weapons-wise, running backs, wide receivers. I don't know. I look at the situation in Miami.
He just got Harbaugh.
I'm not.
That's a great move.
He got a coach that a lot of teams wanted.
No. Here,
finally has a head coach.
Yes.
He's never had. Can we agree he's never had that in 5 years?
Yeah,
not
got
a
Mike
great
Daniels
no.
down in Miami too. Freaking genius, right? And he's got really great wide receivers in Waddle and Hill, and they picked Raheem Mostert off the scrap heap.
Mm-hmm.
And what did he do? Lead the league in touchdowns last year. Tua, in my opinion, I made this point while you guys were gone last week. I think that the offense elevated him to get the numbers that he had. And if I had to say, put Justin Herbert on Miami's offense or Tua on Miami's offense, I think Justin Herbert would throw for 1,500 more yards than he already did. He just hasn't had what Miami's had. And kind of, I sound like a Ducks homer, but it throws a wrench in the conversation to me.
I think you guys need to stop saying, I sound like you are, and
All
that's
right,
okay. That's okay to like Herbert and be rooting for him more than other people. What I would say, and be cautious here, is you can play this game all day. How many quarterbacks, if they would have got Andy Reid rookie year, would have won, and okay, but you're still in a way knocking the player. He had Brian Flores year one. How did that go? We thought that dude was a bust, and then he got the right guy. They got serious as a franchise, and they surrounded him with weapons. We don't need to take anything away from Tua. By the way, how does Miami look when Tua doesn't play? They don't look like that.
Damn near beat the Bills in a playoff game.
No, they didn't. So I just
Skylar Thompson.
I think it's one thing to say Herbert would be this in this system with this team. Well, he's not, and he's not gonna be. So what's the point of that? It's just it's a way to prop up Herbert and knock a player. Would I take Herbert over Tua? Probably. Because, again, I'm worried that Tua suffers one more concussion. His life is in jeopardy. This guy's been concussed to a seizure on the field.
Yes.
But I don't need to also be like, well, if he had this. He doesn't. And it sucks. This is what the NFL is, man. You have to kind of sometimes rise above it. And I think he can with Harbaugh. I think he's had a good career considering what's been around him and given to him. But we have to kind of just evaluate this year to year. And circumstances be damned. It's unfortunate. How many careers have been broken by bad circumstance? I don't hear you making arguments for those guys. If they were in the right system, happens all the time. That's the NFL.
If only Joey didn't get drafted by the Lions, man. You never know
what
could have happened.
He's talked about it with Isaac and Sue. Confidence is a huge thing there, and when you lose it or you question it, it's hard to ever get back to that place. Is Brock Purdy this if he's not drafted last by the Niners?
No.
Probably not.
No. I was only trying to say that Justin Herbert can make more lemonade out of lemons than Tua, in my opinion. Yeah. But I am being a homer.
I think we should get Emmanuel Acho on the phone.
Oh, I think it'd be the worst possible thing. It's already hard enough.
What do you think, Emmanuel? Come on, jump on in here.
Let's embrace debate on a Monday. Duck quarterback debates.
Start yelling.